Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Inferno Racing League, where tonight we'll be racing around Zandvoort, my home race as a Dutchman myself. My name is Olaf, aka Wops Racing, and I'll be your commentator for this evening, and hopefully the evenings after this one. As for racing tonight at Zandvoort, we'll have a short qualifying session of 18 minutes, where all the drivers will be looking to set their fastest lap around the track, show what they can do, and show the competition what they're made of. For now, one Alfa Romeo out first. That appears to be Scottish. We've seen Scottish a long time. I've been seeing Scottish a long time, and he's going to be doing an amazing job, most likely. After this short qualifying session, we'll have a 50% race. So that is 50% of the F1 race distance, officially mandated by the FIA. So that will be around 45 minutes of racing around this beautiful, beautiful track through the Dutch dunes, around the sea. Probably going to be some strong headwind. Looks to be cloudy as well, so the drivers may have to struggle with a bit of wind as well. Drivers will be setting out laps on the softs, most likely, as you can see here. Some of them are already on inters, expecting some rain maybe later on. As see, Phantom, is he truly out on the inters? He is truly out on the inters, expecting some rain early on. I don't think it's raining just yet. I don't see the spatters on the screen just yet, but there are some drivers out on the inters. It's going to be interesting to see who does what, but we're going to be following Scottish through his first lap on the track, as always, trying to see where the danger zones are for qualifying and where the action zones are for the race. Scottish now onto the start straight. Very long one, very deep braking zone as well into turn 1, as it's a 180 degrees turn. Careful with the curb on the inside, very high, very steep. Left curb, always using that one. Small left-hander into the right. Then we have the mega camber of the Kombocht. All the way onto the first part where drivers can really let loose the car. Left, right through the dunes. Here we have a very tricky right-hander, braking just ever so slightly. Or you overshoot it like Scottish did right here, where the line is suboptimal. Slight lift through that corner, big braking, weird, uncomfortable line here with a midway exit. Sharp left-hander here as well, going down to 4th gear. DRS open for the first time on the lap. And here we'll have most likely the biggest send of the entire lap. The slowest section, sector 3, more DRS detection right there. And then we're on to the final braking bit. And full send from here on out. Scottish, first driver to set a lap, crossing the line with another 1 minute 9.3. Great start lap, and the bar has been set by the Alfa Romeo driver. Scottish, 109.3, that's the time to beat. Phantom, out on the intermediates, on a fast lap as well. Unsure if that's going to be any good there. Almost crashing into the Red Bull there on the qualifying lap. We'll probably be looking to get something of an impeding out. The lap times set so far have all been on the softs. As Soa goes first by 3/10, a 1 minute 9.0, almost dipping into the 1 minute 8. And you can see now the intermediates of Phantom are not working. That would have been a 1 minute 15, 1 minute 16 maybe even on the intermediate. So he's going straight back into the pits and probably out on clean softs after this. Dutchke now onto the start straight, setting a lap time. 1 minute 9.4 in the Ferrari, putting it in 4th place. Some yellow flags in sector 1, and that is Curry. Sideways in sector 1, waiting for every driver to pass. And now on the racing line, has to back out a little bit as there's a Ferrari coming through as well. Very careful not to bump into the wall and lose his wing there. Does not want to go back to the pits to do anything there. Shortbread, 1 minute 8.8. First driver to go onto the 8. A very fast lap there with the Williams. And we're going to see most likely some more incidents there into turn, what is that? Turn 4. Like we saw the Red Bull there. It's one small mistake on the brakes. If you go a little bit too deep on the right-hander before that one, you're going to be very, very much in trouble in the braking zone. For the hairpin, if you lock up a little bit too hard, You'll be sending it into the wall. The steps now. Onto the back straight. DRS flap open all the way through. In 1 minute 9.4. The grid looks to be very, very tight today. With everyone in the top 8. Almost within half a second. As Moikuli goes first place by 6 thousandths of a second. With a 1 minute 8.797. 6 milliseconds between P1 and P2 currently. But there's only 6 minutes done. 12 minutes remaining. Still a lot of drivers on the track able to set something. Meixer just saw across the line. P3. 1 minute 8.899. Just over a tenth behind pole position. Is able to set another lap, of course. There's a lot of time still for drivers to do something big, something great. You have Watsy going back to the pits. Phantom now out for his first lap of the qualifying. Of course, he did a lap on the intermediates, but that was not worth much at all. For now, though, Phantom, second place in the standings, equaled with Meixer in first. 53 points. And Tutski, 2 points behind that. And behind that, Moikuli with also 2 points. That's the top 4 getting real close in terms of the standings. So these 4 drivers have really something to battle for tonight. If we look at the constructors, we see Aston Martin miles ahead of the competition with 100 points exactly. They are now 24 points ahead of Alpine, who are 4 points ahead of Williams. So there's going to be a tight battle for P2 as well. If you see Shortbread starting in P2, and Phantom really needs to put in the work to get the car somewhere close to where Shortbread is to challenge some more for the Constructors title. Then we see AlphaTauri a little bit further behind in a battle with Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Mercedes and Red Bull, all within 11 points. As Phantom crosses the line, puts it in 3rd place right behind his rival Shortbread in the Constructors. So they're within a 10th as well. So tight onto the front. Almost the top 4 within a 10th. And of course, we have Soa really close behind that as well. So that is 2 and a bit tenths for the top 5. Very close work. Here's Sushi Sinner. Sector 2. Very fast one as well. Heading on to the first DRS zone. Of course, when the drivers have set a lap already, it's easy to look and see how fast they will be where they end up. But as Sushi has not set a time yet, we can see purple sector. Sector 2. Very impressive stuff. Let's see where he can put his McLaren on the grid. Or at least provisionally. Because we still have half the session remaining. 10 minutes for drivers to set a good lap. Sushi going over the line now with a 1 minute 9.4. So now that the first lap has been said, has been driven, it's been recorded, there's more room for improvement, as drivers can see. They've now scoped out the competition, first laps are done, bankers have been set. We're able to look onwards and see if the drivers are going to improve or not. We see Real D on an out lap as well, starting his lap now. You can see the delta on the top right, the out lap as well ended. You can see now the driver, the sector that they're in, current lap time, and of course the tire they are setting this lap on as well with the position. And if you look at the top right, you can see whenever they cross a timing line on the minimap marked by the white lines or the checkered flag, of course, you can see the delta compared to the previous lap. So right now, D is going to cross 1 second faster, which of course is not much of a shock considering the lap time that he said is a 1 minute 14.0. And that's 4 seconds off almost of the next position. So he needs more than just that 1 second. He needs at least 3 of them to be able to make any progress throughout the grid. Second sector, 3.1 seconds. That would not be enough just yet. But maybe this was a lap time set on the intermediates as well. Can we check? Yes, indeed, it was. D did finish up that lap time on the inters. But the Phantom did a 1 minute 15 on the inters. And D did a 1 minute 14, where would D put in the softs? A 1 minute 9.9. That is shockingly not what I expected. That's not what I anticipated. As Dutchkey now goes over the line, few tenths improvement would put him into P7. 1 minute 9.0. We've got some more drivers lining up to finish their lap as well. As his teammate Watsy puts it in 18th place. We have one of the AlphaTauris coming through now as well. That is Meixer. Starting another lap as well. Doesn't think his 8.8 is good enough. Wants to have another lap, another shot at something. We see some cars with colors that I'm not able to differentiate. That's F1 Dyno in the Williams. Up to P14. However, Mercedes, and that Mercedes is from Moikuli, who invalidated a lap, will now go for another one. Doesn't think that his 8.797 will stand. And feels threatened by the cars behind him. Wants to throw out another lap. So we can see the deltas now. This is going to be very interesting. Because Moikuli 100% gave his all on that previous lap. And here's almost a tenth quicker. So this is what track evolution can do. The more drivers that go out on track, the more rubber is being laid in on the track, the grippier it gets. So currently, there's been a lot of drivers going around constantly. So there's more rubber going into the track. As Meixer put down a 1 minute 8.6, that means that Moikuli needs more than that 1/10, and he does so. 2.5 tenths so far. Now to round up the track. Round up the lap. In the final two corners, no mistakes. Opening up that wing can be quite tricky in some conditions. But Moikuli knows the car, knows the track, trusts it, and goes 3.5 tenths quicker to take back P1. Go up to a 1 minute 8.4 as Phantom takes P2 of Meixer, puts it on the front row. The 1 minute 8.6 just ahead of Meixer. Will need to do another lap. Going to see real quick which one of the Alfa Romeos that is. That's Tintenfish going right back into the pits. Was going to hop on board for a lap, but unfortunately not able to. Meixer now looking to go into the pits to get a fresh set as well. Now we've got one of the Haas riders, Robber Redo, going on to start a lap as well, because that is definitely not one for the record so far. Spongy is on a faster lap. Already a 10.5 in the first two sectors. If you could do a Max Verstappen in Monaco from last year, he is in the Red Bull after all. Might be able to send it and gain a little bit more time than a 1.5 tenths. He does. 2.3 tenths. Up to 8th place. Right ahead of his teammate, Curry. Now his teammate, speaking of him, on his way back to the pits. As everyone tries to go and reset. But not Robber Redo. Robber Redo going for this lap. 2 tenths quicker already would put him around P7, P6. 1.3 tenths now. It's going to be tight. Might gain a position, but not too much. Is he able to split the Red Bulls? That might be the question that we are asking ourselves right now. Onto the back straight. Wing open. As always. Crossing the line and jumping up to P9. Splitting the Bulls. Indeed. Doing what was asked. Up to P9. Curiously enough, Onijimi, 20th place in the Mercedes, still in the pits. Has not set a lap yet and not out on track either. So that's very curious to see. Going to be interesting to see where that is gonna go. There are, of course, strategies that require you to start last. One of those being the last to first. But if Onijimi is able to pull that off, that would be amazing. And also, give me a good show on my first event here with the Infernal Racing Series. And also at my home event, there I see Robert Redo going off the track into the gravel. And those tires are definitely cooked. Definitely not the tire set he wants to take for another lap. Yeah, Sushi. Unsure if this is on a fast one or not. Might just be on a lap. But I don't know if this is going to be that much of an improvement. It might just be 3/10 up to 9th place. Joining Robert Redo in splitting the bulls. Very beautiful lap there. Very good job as well. As we see Watsy improving as well. Needs that improvement, currently in 18th. Does improve. Does not gain a position. So only a 10th improvement, which is not enough to gain a spot on the grid. Now, 5th place, currently Soa. Also starting out on the lap. The second Mercedes to improve in the last bit of qualifying. 2 minutes remaining. So if the cars want to set another lap, they have to go out on the track. I say the cars as if they're human beings. As if this is actually the movie Disney Pixar's Cars. It is not. There are actually people driving these cars. And they all have to go out on track right now if they want to be able to set a lap. They still have about 40 seconds, 30 seconds to get out. But if they don't, it's going to be wild. One of those drivers, as suspected, Onijimi. Last place currently. Has not set a banker lap yet. But I do so much want to ride on board with this man. Rumors say that he is one of the quickest, if not the quickest, currently in the league. Looking to set a singular lap around the track to set his position for this race. Dutchkey retiring from the session, showing that this is all he can do and no more. 7th place for now. But everyone behind him almost out on the lap. Soa in the pits, Spongy in the pits, Sushi in the pits, and Watsy in the pits. Also not able to set another lap. Soa knows this and also retires from the session. Knows that if he goes out now, the checkered flag will have already been waved. And he won't be able to set another timed lap. Another purple, which might just account for personal bests at this point. Because we saw before that the purple sector did not indeed wind up to be the fastest lap. Even if they were all 3 purple sectors, it's still entirely possible for the lap to be slow. Onijimi onto the final corners of the track. Clear air in front of him. Final turn onto the straight. Where will he put the Mercedes? Will he join his teammate at the front? Yes, he will. P2. A 1 minute 8.593. Just over 10th behind Moikuli. 2nd place. And a front row lockout for Mercedes so far. Because they're still drivers improving. Phantom improving a tiny bit. Mixer also, but not improving enough. And we see Shortbread into the wall in Sector 2. Won't be able to improve either. The only hope now is Moikuli, who sets another fastest lap and puts it even further up front. Now Phantom does not open the wing, knows that it's over. P3 for him. Shortbread won't be able to improve either as he pulls the car out of the gravel. Robert Redo not improving either. A little bit behind for now. The steps into 6th place. Scottish 5th. Robert Redo just a little bit behind. Ali House slower as well. F1 Dyno quite a bit slower going down into the pits. So for today, Moikuli is your pole sitter for the Zandvoort GP. And it's a Mercedes front row lockout with Onijimi following up that incredible performance in P2. Phantom in P3, Mixer P4, and Scottish, the driver who said the first lap time will be starting in 5th. And as you can see from the lap times, it's incredibly tight. We see first all the way to 15th within a second. That is insane. That is so very close. And I'm 100% sure that this race will be something worth watching. So all drivers currently finished off their session. And Moikuli, of course, being the most fortunate one, putting in the best performance of all by just over 2/10. Here we have Moikuli in first place. Onijimi will lock out the front row for Mercedes. Following up for the grid, we have Phantom, Meixer, Scottish, The Steps, Shortbread, Soa, Tintenfish, and Touchkey finishing out the top 10. Behind that, we have Sir Spongy in the Red Bull, Sushi in the McLaren, Robert Redo 13th, Curry 14th, Ali House, F1 Dino, Zetu, Charles Henry, Real D, and Watsy down in 20th place. The entire grid separated by 1.6 seconds. The top 15 separated by just under a second. This shows how close this entire grid is and how real the battles will be as soon as we get out on track. The driver's now able to set their strategy to be able to finish off this race the best way possible. We will not have a formation lap, so there's no room for me to talk about any possible strategies or anything that's going on. We'll have to do that as the dust settles after the first lap, because the drivers will be going instantly after the lights go out. I can always speculate what the strategies will be, what the starting tire will be. But I believe a lot of drivers will be starting on the mediums or the softs. Most likely the mediums to have a little bit more versatility in terms of their tire choosing. If you start on the softs and the softs wear just a bit too quickly, you have to move over to either the hards to finish out the race or use another set of softs and sacrifice another full pit stop to be able to finish off the race without needing to use the hards. If you go on the mediums, you might be able to stretch the stint a little bit longer early on, so you can have the later stint be low wear on the softs. Because as you know, early on in the race, the fuel tank is completely full. Whereas later on, the car gets lighter and lighter, and there's less load on the tires as well. So the tires wear more quickly early on in the race, meaning that the softs early on might just not be the greatest idea, especially on a track like this that's very heavy on the tires, especially the great cambered corners of turn 4 and of course the final turn, and the fast bits through the dunes with the quick right-hander, very cheeky off-camber corner as well, puts a lot of load on the outside tire, making it wear extremely quickly. So the left side is going to have to endure a lot this race. The drivers might opt to start on the mediums. Some even want to start on the hards, as it could be a good choice, actually, to go off sync on the pit stops. To let the other drivers, the soft and the medium runners, pit early, so you've got clean air ahead of you, and maybe overcut everyone that's on the grid. Or you get undercut, which is most likely going to be the scenario. But then you'll have the clean softs to be able to pick off any driver. So if your racecraft's good, you might be able to opt for that. 5 lights going on. And we're racing at Zandvoort. Moikuli gets a great start on it. Jimmy pulls in right as well. Meixer gets a good start on the inside, but there's contact. Meixer is already around, and there's a huge pileup into turn 1. And Meixer pays the price for it all the way down to last place now, as the Steps joins him on the back of the grid. F1 Dino drops back as well. Moikuli seems to be the only one getting away with this from the top 3. Scottish in second place, Shortbread now in third, but this opens up a great gap between first and second place. A lot of things going on there, and unsure who was the cause of that, but I believe there was a small tap from Phantom into the rear of what looked to be Meixer, who spun around, and now Moikuli has to fight and pull away as the rest of the grid behind starts battling, trying to see what's going on. As we see Onijimi also fall down, as well as Watsy. These drivers both going off the track, and Onijimi starting second place, though, all the way down to last. Has to rejoin there as well. Very, very messy start of the race. Unsure if the stewards want to retake that as Meixer pulls his way through already up to 15th place. Doesn't look like he's got much damage, but is right behind his teammate now. Might want to pull the team order move here. As Moikuli is the one to set the first lap of the race. Finish it off. Soa looking on the inside of Tutski. Tutski giving a little bit of space, but not enough for Soa to put the nose in. And has to wait for another lap to try again. Now we've got a little bit of time to look at the tires. As only Jimmy retires from the session. Charles Henry and F1 Dyna go into the pits to repair their wings. And there's a virtual safety car. So the drivers can have a little bit of ease. And here we see indeed the strategies. A lot of drivers on the mediums. A few on the softs. And 2 drivers on the hards. One of them just changed to the hards from the mediums. So that means that there's 1 driver, Ali House, in the Haas. Trying to go for a daring strategy. 3 drivers on the softs. Robert Redo, Real D, and the steps. Aston Martin going crazy with those softs. The rest all on the mediums looking to extend their first stint. If we look at the position gain and loss, we see Real D all the way up to 9th position. Gaining 10 places on that start. Being real lucky there. As well as Spongy all the way up to 4th. Gaining 7 positions. Then we have the big winners, of course. But when there are big winners, we also have to have big losers. We see Meixer 10 positions down. The steps 9 positions down as well. Being caught up in the incidents on the first lap. The steps has the soft, so he might be able to pull back from this. But the drivers ahead have got to be rapid. And he's got to be able to pull this through. Here we see the possible race strategies. Softs to mediums, mediums to hards as DRS is enabled. And Moikuli, not very awake. Scottish more awake than him. And looks to have something ready in the chamber. To be able to fire off at Moikuli. Into this fast right-hander. Might want to pull something on the DRS straight. DRS has been enabled. On lap 3, of course. Even though there's a virtual safety car. It's only disabled again. At a real full safety car, but Scottish is now under attack as well. Shortbread has pulled a second gap behind already, so the top 3 is loose. It's a small train, P1 through P3, with the DRS looking to fight for the podium. A little bit further behind, we see Spongy being attacked by the Alfa Romeo behind. Only a few tenths separate them now. There's this huge straight coming up with DRS. We're going to look at the top 3 for a moment. Scottish. Half a second. We'll see how strong the DRS is exactly. Currently already gained 2 tenths on Moikuli. Doesn't go for the move just yet. Tintenfish did go for the move and is past Spongy. So now into P4. Looking to chase the battle that's ahead. Sushi as well getting overtaken with using that DRS on the Haas. Ali House made that move very, very simple. Spongy now following through Tintenfish to be able to catch the cars ahead. They might want to say, hey, calm down for a moment. I don't want to fight just yet because it's going to lose us time. Might as well catch up to the guys ahead first. And then start battling to see what's going on. Because that's exactly what Robert Redo is doing right now. 6th position, closing in and almost just dancing around that line of having DRS and not having DRS. Currently, don't think he does. The wing stays closed, but that allows Soa and Tutski to catch up. Soa looking for a move on the inside again, making himself very big in the mirrors of the Ferrari ahead. And Tutski having to go defensive, looking a little bit scary there. Doesn't go for the defensive moves just yet, because he knows that Soa's a little bit too far behind. Scottish, again, looking for something as Moikuli must be a sitting duck at this point. Scottish dives on the inside, sends the car way deep into turn 1. Moikuli hangs on for a little bit, but Scottish ends up making the move stick into turn 1, making it a beautiful, beautiful DRS overtake. A textbook classic D. Getting close now as well to Soa, joining this battle. 3-way now for P7. Robert Redo now close to this battle ahead. So now the only big gap we have in the top 10 is between P3 and P4. So the podium currently is clear, but we'll see what happens at the pit stops. Because as you can see, Robert Redo is on the softs and can catch Spongy quite well. Should be looking to overtake sometime soon because the dirty air is not good for the tires. Being slower than the car, being faster than the cars ahead, but being slowed down because of them was gonna hurt the tires quite a lot also. Robert Redo taking up the wide stands, filling up the mirrors of the Red Bull ahead, making a real show, saying, yo, if you don't speed up, I'm passing you on the straight. Moikuli looking for the exact same thing. I don't think that's just the DRS. That must be a battery issue for Scottish. Not able to pull the full power from the car and gets past easily down there. As Robert We Do also makes a move on Spongy, as he's been looking to do. But Spongy hanging on the outside and taking the position back. A very good defense. A very good switchback as well. Robert We Do going very wide there. Looking to get a good exit, but kind of squirrely on the exit. Causes Spongy to pull away even further. Tintafish keeping the gap ahead pretty solid. Not losing any positions either, because the cars behind are just battling with each other. Just able to just clearly go ahead and catch the cars ahead. Robert We Do sends it on the inside. Doesn't get it done. Or gets sent on the outside. What happened even? That was Tutschke. Passing Robert We Do. I was looking at the standings. Now Phantom is through as well. Real D as well. Soa a little bit behind. All the way down in 10th place. Looking to fall out of these point scoring positions. And the gaps are now increasing. D out of the second. Soa within the second. We're going to look at the top for just a moment. Scottish a bit too far behind to make anything happen. Does look for it. Doesn't get it. Soa now past D. D slotting back in right behind him. And Soa up into 9th place again. Regaining some of those positions. As it was battling with Tutschke before. It's now lost a few positions. Robert We Do now out of the DRS. Getting chased by Phantom. The man who dared to go out on the interzone qualifying while it was just cloudy. Having to work with that aero wash. That corner is so strong on the wings. It's a fast corner, so the faster the cars go, the more aerodynamic effect the cars will generate, especially from those wings. And if you're right behind another car, there's a lot of turbulent air, making sure you don't get enough downforce. Alley House now under attack from Mixer, who sends it up the inside. Beautiful move there from the Haas, looking vulnerable. Wants to catch something back, but doesn't look like he's able to do it on the inside there. Does get ahead of the AlphaTauri, but Mike's are not giving up. A little bit of contact as well throughout. And Ali House being on the hards, meaning that he does not have enough grip. But looking on the inside and almost takes out both drivers. Gets a tap on the wing, loses part of it as well. And Mixer gets hit in the process as well. Doesn't look like he has any damage, but it does look like that's a very sketchy moment there. In the meantime, Scottish got the lead back from Moikuli. And I believe Phantom also overtook Robert We Do. And now Soa as well. As Ali House has retired from the session. Not retired yet, but just leaving the session. Soa back up to 8th. Robert We Do now dropping back. Ali House's car still driving on the track, but Ali House not in the car anymore at this point. Further back, we see Mixer looking to make that recovery a thing. But got tapped. And unfortunately, lost some of that process. So Moikuli does the exact same thing he did a few laps ago. Retaking the lead of the race. As Spongy gets overtaken by Tintenfish. The Alfa Romeo on the inside opens the door for Tutschke as well. Almost able to send out his wing right next to the wheels of the Red Bull. But has to stick behind just a tiny bit longer before he's able to make his way through as well. Now up to 6th place. Tutschke looking to make something more happen from this race. Tintenfish now able to pull away a tiny bit. The gap's increasing as Tutschke is following very closely. Very difficult to do through all of these fast corners, but he does it very, very well. So remember, when you slow down, the gaps between the cars, they shrink as well. So you have to brake a bit earlier, and you have to time it properly when there's cars ahead of you. And if there's 2 ahead of you, you have to do it even more carefully. And Tutschke does this phenomenally. Also looking on the inside, almost sending it in, but deciding against it, braking a bit harder there, and leaving Spongy to live for another day. So it looked like if he were to send that, Spongy would be able to send it straight into the barrier, onto the gravel trap, into his best science impression. Scottish with the DRS. Moikuli almost looking to go defensive, but Scottish gaining that position into turn 1. Moikuli doesn't have enough grip to make anything happen there. Spongy now getting overtaken by Dutchki. Had the DRS, but didn't defend enough. And now we see Phantom joining in on the battle as well. Currently within a few tenths of Spongy. Spongy is getting picked off one by one at this point. Falling down all the way to 6th place already. But luckily, if Phantom picks him off, he's got a little bit of attack. Because Soa is just a second behind. Battling with Robber we do as well. Right behind, we can see him going over the crest there. So there's currently a very, very tight battle going on between a few of these drivers. Moikuli as well here. Also, again, within a few tenths of Scottish. But has to go defensive sometimes. Because Shortbread's also looking to make a move there. Haven't seen much action of him just yet. But he does look eager to get in on the win as well. The top 3 already clear for quite a few laps. Now will have a 3-second gap behind Moikuli. Doesn't look like he's opening the flap. Neither did Shortbread. Look further behind. These drivers do have the rear wing open. Almost at Wang. Same thing though. What we do? Almost able to send something as well. Mixer looking to make the recovery, but still in P14. Unable to get by the steps. Had an awful start as well. Down 7 positions, as you can see. Mixer down 10. Phantom down 4 as well. Soa back where he started. D up 9 places from 19th to 10th. An incredible start to the race. Zetu as well. Up 6 places. 17th to 11th. These mediums running pretty well still. Robert we do down in 9th on the softs. Looked like he was able to do something with those soft tires, but don't think he will now. He must be running out of grip as well soon. Moikuli now looking to regain the lead. Using the DRS once again. Dips out of the slipstream. But the DRS alone is not enough just yet. If we look on board for a moment, we see that the battery is quite empty as well. As Phantom gets up into P6 and passes the Red Bull of Spongy as they're battling a bit more. Going into turn 4, Phantom gets tapped in the rear. Hits the gravel a little bit, opens up the door for Soa. And I said before that Soa was a few seconds behind and not able to join in the battle. But guess what? Soa has greatly improved on his times. Is now able to join back as well. Touching a little bit of grass, doing a switchback, looking on the inside, but doesn't make the move happen yet. Knows that he needs a bit more room to be able to overtake, but knows that he's in the battle. Oh, looking on the inside, putting his tire right next to it. That's a daring move. Will have the DRS as well as Spongy. They're now side by side, going onto the back straight. Spongy will have the inside here and breaks a bit deeper, keeping that position. But that was a dare from Soa. Really trusting the Red Bull driver to drive cleanly. And they made it through as well without any contact. That was beautiful. Beautiful racing. Moikuli now up into first, but there is Shortbread making the move that we saw coming a while back. Going up into second place, finally showing himself after being in third for this entire event so far. After the lap 1 incidents have resolved, of course. Now up into second place, leaving Scottish behind in third. As the Alfa Romeo drivers for the first time now dropping back a little bit further. As we see Tintenfish now pulling away quite well. As Phantom, Spongy and Soa are now battling with the 3 of them. There's a small gap forming. So Tutchki and Tintenfish can focus on their battle. And Soa sending it up the inside once again. But not fast enough, not far enough to be able to make the overtake stick. Does look very eager to get that position though. So he might get that in just a moment's time. Scottish might have made a mistake. He's down more than a second already. Tintenfish not able to send a move either. Is looking for it though. Mixer up at the 13th, trying to make that 12th. Does get ahead of the steps who doesn't go defensive, is on the softs, but does not have the pace to keep up. Meixer now looking to make something more happen than that. And there is Shortbread setting it up into first place. Does not have to defend from Scottish behind, as Scottish did not have the DRS. And now he's all the way up into first. Dutchkey on the inside is Tintenfish. Has to defend, sends it past. Is on the inside now, side by side through the left-hander. Dutchkey gets the outside line, a little bit more speed getting through it, but it looks like Tintenfish has a bit more traction and a bit more speed through the dunes now, side by side. Dutchkey has the inside line, but Tintenfish getting ahead. That's a beautiful battle and a beautiful overtake as well. Tintenfish up into fourth, and Dutchkey into fifth. Shortbread still leading this race. As we saw Phantom doing a bit of a leave and a rejoin as Watchsy hits it into the wall, which just calls for a safety car. Might be able to hop on board and see the car. No, the car has already left the track. There we have one of the Ferraris doing a great battle with an Alfa Romeo right here in 5th place. Battle for 4th. Losing out, but making a great show of it. And the other Ferrari, unfortunately, DNFing. This does open up a lot of opportunities. If you look at your screen now, you see everyone going into the pits now. Spongy looking to dive in as well. Soa in. Phantom in. D in. Sushi in. It's just a line of cars all going to the pits. And Shortbread, the first one to go out. And he's on the hards. Look at the tires that they're taking. The top is all going onto the hards. All these drivers know that if they go onto it now, Real D taking on the mediums. Thinks that the mediums can last those 20 laps. 21 laps onto the end. Robert We Do has pitted before. Looks like he's on the hards for 3 laps already. As you can see, as the steps are the final one to complete the stop. Some drivers going onto the mediums. So D, Phantom, and the steps onto the mediums. As the rest all moves onto the hard tire. It's going to be a question whether the mediums hold on to the end. Like I said before, the mediums, they wear a little bit quicker than the hards. And as the race goes on, you wear the tires out less and less because the car gets lighter and lighter. So 15 laps early on the mediums might just mean 20 laps in the late game. We'll never know. We'll have to see and wait out of if this strategy gamble pays off. For now, though, we'll have to wait for the safety car to catch up with the back, or rather, to have the back catch up with the safety car. So we'll take a quick water break, so I hope you all will do the same and stay hydrated for this race as well. Even though it's not that warm yet, it is heating up, and you all should probably have a little bit of a drink. Maybe a toilet break. Don't take too long, because we'll be right back with the action in just a minute or two. So I will be right back as well. And there is the message of the safety car going in this lap. And we'll be back to racing in a moment's notice. Shortbread leading the pack, able to drop the hammer whenever he pleases. Ali House, an entire lap behind, as it looks to be stuck within the pack as well. So Moikuli has to be awake, looking at the rear of that Williams, questioning when he's going to drop it. Wiggling like crazy, heating up the tires. Moikuli having none of it. Staying focused, doesn't fall for the bait. But his tires will be cooling down every single meter that they drive. So every single bit that Shortbread advances will be an advantage. Does take it, breaks the slipstream immediately, but Moikuli is awake. And does indeed get quite a bit of an advantage now by not needing to attack nor defend. Scottish now under attack from the Ferrari, but everyone stays in their places. Phantom up a few positions, all the way up to 12th place from 14th. A great restart there, but the top is still fighting. Shortbread appears to be gone, and Scottish able to attack as well. Back into the top. Dutchkey now side by side with Tintenfish, has to defend as well, but does the reversal of what Tintenfish did to him before. This time the inside line did work and he stayed ahead into P4. Spongy is now leading the charge as well, with Soa right behind him. Both drivers looking to gain some more points on the board for the championship. Spongy going to look for the defense, because I don't think that's an angle for an offense just yet, as D and Robert We Do is sending it into the wall, having to back out, as Mixer appears to have a great start, going past Sushi and up to 9th place already, having a great comeback after what appeared to be a horrendous first lap. Moikuli looking for an attack, but Shortbread still a little bit too far ahead as we're going towards the halfway mark of this race. Spongy now getting overtaken by the McLaren of Soa, slightly ahead before that corner. Mike's now able to attack as well as Robert We Do. Gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but it doesn't matter as he retires. And Mixer looking for something. Currently in the battle for the lead of the championship. Needs to have more points on the board than this. On the outside, inside looking. But the mediums are just too strong. And there we see Sushi going off the track as well. Losing out on Phantom and even more as he's off to the gravel trap. And now has to rejoin down into 15th place. Mixer will definitely thank him for loosening the pressure and lifting some weight off of his shoulders as he looks to attack. And whoa, that's almost a brake tap into the rear of the Aston Martin, as there's a small chain reaction going on there. D now having to defend. There's 2 seconds gap in front of him. Moikuli needs to defend as well. Looks like he wants to attack, but there is Scottish looking to get something done there. Doesn't quite get it. Soa neither. D having to defend now from the AlphaTauri, does so by just being faster. It's that simple. The steps almost make an overtake happen. If you look at the tires now, there's a few drivers that are up in the mediums. We see D, Curry, the steps, Charles Henry and Ali House now on the mediums, and the rest all on the hards. So we might see D being able to defend from Mixer using those tires, which might just be his savior. Tintenfish now looking to get P5 back. Stuchki is looking to charge on. Now here we see again the top 3 that we've seen this entire race, but this time they're reversed. At the beginning we saw Scottish lead, Moikuli in second, and those two always changing positions, and Shortbread down in 3rd place. But ever since Shortbread took the lead, he's not let go of it at all. He's hung on to it through everything that they've thrown at him. And he's still in 1st place. But will he survive what is coming? We'll see that on the scoreboard as we see Moikuli going a little bit side by side, but doesn't yet go for it, as we see a great battle behind here as Phantom goes on the inside, overtaking Mixer and D at the same time. Has to hold on to it, but D looking to fight back. Mixer as well around the outside, getting the position back. And Phantom only getting D, putting up the 9th place, dropping D down to 10th. Further behind, we see the steps overtaking Zaytu as well. Zaytu looks to be a little bit cautious, but does get the position as they all make contact and they go into the walls. And now we see the steps being backwards. Curry and Zato being able to drive on basically unharmed. Losing a little bit of time, but that's about that. And the steps dropping all the way down to 16th, having to reverse and jump out of that. And Zato is just able to continue. Very close to Sushi, though. But will have a chance to defend. A very unlucky incident there with 3 drivers in the battle through the dunes. Never appears good. Moikuli now has half a second to gain. 4/10 on this straight. Appears to do so already, having the wing open, and is able to get past very cleanly before the start-finish line. Remember, that is very important towards the end of the race, because then we might be able to see overtakes happen on the straight right before the end of the race. F1 Dyno might look for something as well. We see Sushi going past Zetu, and F1 Dyno looking on the inside as well. Side by side still through turn 3 into turn 4. F1 Dyno backs out. The Williams driver will have to wait another lap to try again, or at least until the next bit of DRS. So now getting real close to Tintenfish, who wants to attack Tutski, but is getting held back by the fact that there's a McLaren looking in his mirrors right on his gearbox, looking very, very upset there. And the McLaren gets a great exit with the slipstream. Might be able to look for something on the inside here. Makes himself big in the mirrors, showing himself off, making sure that Tintenfish knows the attack is coming at any moment now. Doesn't go for it just yet. Doesn't have the speed for it. Same goes for Shortbread. We saw that Moikuli was so much closer this time around last lap. Doesn't get the overspeed just yet. So neither. Everyone stays in the same position. Phantom looking real close to Mixer now, but Mixer holding on for just a tiny bit longer. Zato as well. And F1 Dyno not able to do anything either. So everyone just staying in their positions, and the DRS not being as strong. The top 7 now clear. 3 seconds of Mixer, who needs to push on, but still has the Alpine of Phantom right behind him, looking to make an overtake at the earliest convenience. Soa, the exact same thing, wants to join in on this battle. Dutchke will thank him after the race for putting some of the pressure on the Alfa Romeo of Tintenfish, allowing him to pull away a little bit more. Because as you see, Tintenfish has the DRS, has the slipstream, would be able to make something happen if it wasn't for the McLaren behind. Now Dutchke will also have the DRS to defend, but even with DRS, sometimes you're helpless. The slipstream is just too much. You're having to go defensive. And right now, Tintenfish cannot afford to not defend. See Shortbread closing in again on the Mercedes, but Moikuli just has more speed. It looks like everyone's struggling with the same issue, and that's straight line speed. Some have too much, some have too little. But they are definitely split. As you can see, Soa not able to get close to Tintenfish, who's not able to get close to Dutchke. But they're all still in the battle for first. As one track limit violation, one too much, can alter the course of the results very, very much. As D now overtakes Phantom. Phantom once again has left the session. And what we saw before is that Phantom disconnected. That might have happened here again. You see him sit in the car. That's a very weird sight. He's losing time and he's dropping back. And I can assure you that's not intentional, as the Seps puts in the fastest lap after having just pitted again. Possibly for some clean tires. This Phantom just drops back and drops back. Scottish now clear a second of Shortbread, I should say. Clear a second of Scottish, who might have made a mistake. And Touchy now on the attack on the inside into turn 1. On the straight, uses the DRS. Scottish braking very deep. Knows that he has to brake more to make the corner. And that allows Touchy to drive right past and go up to the top 10. The top 3, I should say. Scottish right behind, back to attack Tintenfish, his teammate. Looking to catch the pack as well. Now into 5th place. But has Soa still behind him. Great move from Dutchke, by the way. On the start. Finish straight. Phantom now dropping back even more positions, down into 14th. The race to forget for the Alpine driver. The race to remember probably for Shortbread in the Williams. He's had an amazing opportunity so far to gain the lead. Currently is second place after losing the lead to the Mercedes. Of course, the drivers here in 5th and 6th, Tintenfish and Soa, might not think that they have a chance to get the lead. Tintenfish still has that DRS ever so slightly. Scottish as well. But everything is so tight together. Moy Cooley now losing the position. Shortbread on the inside does get the position. There's someone exiting the pits, and it looks to be the Haas of Ali House joining in on this battle. But being blue flagged, knows to get out of the way and let all of these guys pass. As Soa is now looking to make something happen here through the dunes. Tintenfish knows these lines, knows them very, very well. Is able to take the proper one and gets tapped by the back marker, gets hindered, goes sideways and loses out on some time. That's about 2.5 second time loss, 2 second time loss to his teammate ahead. Soa respectfully backing out as well, but that allowed Spongy to catch up again. Now the top 3 is lose of Scottish, who is lose of his teammate. But Spongy now in the battle as well. Might not be for the lead anymore, but it will be for something more, as we see Curry slowed down a lot. Small mistake there. Very costly. Down to 11th place. Out of the points. As Moy Cooley is looking to get something back from Shortbread, but the Williams just too fast for now. As Sushi retires from the session, and there's another safety car being called, as we see the McLaren there in the wall on the bottom of your screen, currently gone. And now there's this question. We see Real D here, the first one into the pits. And is that going to be clean softs? Yes, it will be. It will not be. Those are mediums. Clean mediums on the Aston Martin. We're going to take a quick look. Zaytu is going on to the softs. Curry as well. These softs should last to the end of the race. So unsure why D chose for the mediums. Maybe didn't have another set, but that would be very weird. F1 Dyno Phantom also going on to the softs. The first few drivers not into the pits yet. They just passed, and that might cost them a little bit, because drivers that just switched back to the softs, like Zaytu, Curry, F1 Dyno Phantom, able to catch up a little bit more. As the front drivers have to adhere to the delta. They'd have to stick behind for now. Will be going into the pits, most likely to get their tires refreshed. That means that D can catch up. And having had the earlier stop might just work in his advantage. Shortbread now diving into the pits, as well as everyone behind him. D now able to fully send it, whereas Shortbread had the wait. At the delta, we had to wait. We're looking on the exit here. Shortbread is still in first place. Moy Cooley following a second. Scottish going up into the medium. Soa as well. So some drivers choosing for that medium tire might just work out for them. But there's a very clear split there. Few drivers onto the mediums and a lot of them onto the softs. This is going to be a question whether the softs hold out. They most likely will. But the question is, why would you go for the mediums if the softs will hold out for those laps? As it's the second safety car here, we're going to take a short little break again. At least I will be taking a short break to get my voice and my throat rehydrated as well. So we'll be back when the safety car goes back in. But don't go anywhere, because the final few laps are probably going to be the most chaotic, the most action-packed you will see today. So stay tuned. There's a very late message that the safety car will indeed be in this lap. We're going to be continuing racing for the final, what's that, 8 laps of the Dutch GP at Zandvoort. With Shortbread again able to take the opportunity and take the hammer, drop it, oh, right at the end there, as Moikuli was ready to heat up the tires. Dutchkey in 3rd place, under attack immediately, but he's not the only one. Soa in the attack. Scottish looking to shuffle as well. Dutchkey back up to 3rd, keeps it. Soa in 5th. Tintenfish still on the inside, but good side-by-side racing, wheel to wheel. Tintenfish able to hold on the outside, but Soa more traction on the inside and gets up to 5th place. That's what I think appears to be the only change in position from what I could see so far. Soa making a great move there. Going up into the top 5. And Shortbread again, a great start there on the safety car restart. Moikuli almost awake enough to do something, but still has to lag behind just a tiny bit. Scottish now looking for another overtake there. Soa able to join back in. We see Mixer making an overtake on Spongy, getting up to P7. An amazing recovery from him as well. Great job so far. Zetu as well, very close to attacking D on the straight, but we have to look up ahead where Merculi is so far back, but Scottish is so close. Dutchkey going defensive on the inside. Scottish knows the outside line does have some grip. Dutchkey will have the softs available to defend and does keep the position for now, but it looks like Scottish is ready to attack even more. And we know how the Brits and the Scots have fought. Now today it's the Dutch and the Scots fighting for that final place of the podium. Scottish looking for the inside, doesn't do it just yet. Knows that he has to wait a little bit longer. So you can see him in the back, also eager to get an overtake done. Getting that position, looking to fight for 3rd place on the same compound as the Alfa Romeo. Looks to send it up in the inside. Scottish leaving just enough room for the McLaren driver to slot in. And does get the overtake done. A great move in the inside. An unconventional move, but we've seen him make it a few times. Going defensive into the final sector. Keeps the position into 4th place. An amazing move by Soa. As here we see Phantom gets the first 3-second time penalty for track limits. As we see caution in sector 3. That appears to be Phantom. They're going slowly. DRS now enabled, which means that Moikuli did not have it just yet. We see further behind. Mixer on the inside of Tintenfish as well. Looking to make the overtake happen. Does do so. Tintenfish holding on for a tiny bit more, but we all know that once this corner comes, Tintenfish sends it very deep. Does keep the position actually against expectations, but Mixer still holding on side by side through the dunes. This cannot end well. Here we go. Mixer slotting behind because he knows that this is going to be a sketchy part of the track to be side by side with. Tintenfish dropping back a bit. Soa up into 4th place. Attacking that podium position that he wanted so badly. Tushki with all the battling going on. Now over a second behind the top 2. Does have the 3rd position for now. We'll have to defend for it for the final 5 laps of the race. Especially here. He doesn't have the DRS to go defensive just yet. Which means that Soa can do everything he wants to attack. So to see Mixer behind looking for something as well. We'll hop on him with him once that is the time. Currently P7 for the AlphaTauri driver. But 4th place for Soa, which will turn into 3rd with this DRS as he passes. And Mixer now has to defend from behind as well. Spongy looks to do something, but doesn't quite get it just yet. Soa up into 3rd. And D now into 9th place. Battling with the Zetu in 10th. For the final few point scoring positions. Soa has a pretty good going for now. Might have made a mistake there as Dutchkey really caught up to him very quickly. And there you see the train. That was a beautiful sight. From P2 onwards to all the way to P8. You can see all the cars here. Look at that. Beautiful. Some of them even going more offensive. Mixer, for example, looking to get something done on Tintenfish. Grabs the inside line as the DRS. But Tintenfish will have that to defend as well. Mixer on the inside. Makes himself wide once again. Showing that he's not afraid to show himself, and he's not afraid to make a move. Dutchke slightly defensive there in a corner where you usually don't have to go defensive, but Dutchke feels threatened now from Scottish behind. These drivers know each other very well, of course, and know exactly what their limits are. Scottish ahead at the start. Dutchke looking to make something happen on the inside, but then again, Scottish looks on Soa. Soa is able to clear that attack easily. Pull back into third place, but the attack is not done yet as Dutchke is following in on the attack as well. There's a three-way battle now for the final step of the podium, but that's not just a three-way because Tintenfish is there and Mixer is there too, side by side through the dunes. Tintenfish stays ahead for now, but Mixer really eager to get past. Now on the inside as well, looking, almost sending it there. Making it very close, but Tintenfish is off the track. Has to rejoin. There he is in the gravel trap, dropping down a few positions, all the way down to 8th now. Zetu able to catch up, and D as well. Might be able to join that battle, but for now, Tintenfish is out of the contention for the top 3. As D and Zetu now have the battle of their own. And Mixer able to catch up and maybe make it a top 5 finish. If you look at the starting positions, Mixer only down 2. That's how big of a comeback he's made so far. Great job there. So we see Moikuli wanting to make the overtake happen back for the lead. He's only got 3 laps remaining on the race. Scottish looking to follow through on Soa. So crazy that he didn't make the move there. Thought he'd be looking on the inside, but luckily sticking behind for a bit longer. So we see Zetu wanting to attack D, but D still sticking again in 10th. And there's the Williams of F1 Dyno going off the track a bit, opening the door for Phantom. Gets tapped, gets unsettled. And now the steps going through. As we see Phantom sideways, getting spun out and having to rejoin once again. Has that 3-second time penalty. Now down in the 15th, so nothing that can happen there anymore. Shortbread leading now. Needs 2 more laps to defend. Has the gap behind him for Moikuli to be clear. So this is a 2-man battle now for the lead. And Mixer would really love to get close to the top 3 still. And he can. He's only got Dutchke ahead of him. Then Scottish. And then he's got Soa. But there's 2 laps and 3 drivers he needs to pass. So it's going to be very close. Moikuli not able to get anything done just yet. Has to stick behind. The real battle is a little bit further down with Mixer. Has the DRS in the slipstream. Doesn't make the move yet. Not fast enough. The DRS alone is not where it happens. Looking at his battery there, he's deploying everything to go on the inside, backs out at the final moment, puts Dutchke on an inefficient line, but still efficient enough to be able to get ahead and stay in 5th position. There's of course opening a gap ahead, so the more that Mixer tries, the less chances he's gonna have to do something else. There's a caution being thrown as Curry goes sideways and retires from the session after spinning in turn 4. Now parks the car on the side to be removed. There's just a yellow flag. No safety car. So we're heading into the final lap of the race. And remember what I said all those laps ago, that it's important for drivers to be able to overtake with the DRS before the racing, before the checkered flag. And this is where it matters. If Moikuli on this lap overtakes Shortbread, Shortbread has the opportunity to overtake before the checkered flag. Right now trying to break the toe, making more than a few illegal moves it looked like. Moikuli looks to be going around the outside, doesn't have the traction just yet, will go and stick behind for now. Scottish in 4th, hasn't had the opportunity to attack yet. And Dutchke looking to add on the attack as well. Now a 4-way battle for 3rd place. This can only mean chaos way towards the end. Moikuli following as closely as possible, will look to do the one thing he set out to do, and that is win. Putting it on the front row, putting it in pole position. His teammate DNFing on the start. Mixer now past Dutchke as Dutchke falls off the track into the gravel trap and loses out to Spongy as well. Now it's Tintenfish behind him to worry about, but it's the final lap, so I don't think that is going to happen. But Moikuli, remember what I said. You're able to overtake if you have a real good exit. That all starts here. Very squirrely there. Don't think he can make anything happen still. But opening up the flap here allows Shortbread to pull away and take 1st place of the Dutch GP by 18 milliseconds as Moikuli puts it in second place. Soa third, Scottish fourth, Meixer all the way back up to fifth, regaining a lot of the lost positions. Spongy in sixth place, Dutchkey seventh, Tinterfish barely in eighth, almost was able to take that seventh place. Real D ninth, Zetu 10th, The Steps 11th, Charles Henry 12th, F1 Dino 13th, Phantom down in 14th, and Alley House in 15th. That is all for the winning, for the driving cars. Shortbread wins out by 18 milliseconds. That was so close. I thought he would have that. And then Moikuli came out of nowhere and almost overtook before the line. And I got real scared that I would have to back out of my statement of Shortbread winning the race. But luckily, he got home in first place, getting the full points for today, except for the fastest lap, which I believe went to Phantom. We'll have to check that in just a moment. But first, we get to see our podium. Shortbread in first, Moikuli in second, and Soa in third. An amazing recovery from the McLaren as well. A great job putting it on the third step of the podium after so many well-fought battles. So a good job there from the McLaren driver. Here we have it. Phantom indeed getting the fastest lap of the race by a few tenths. Shortbread getting first place. Moikuli in second, dropping down one position. Soa all the way up to third place from 8th. Remember, Shortbread came from 7th place as well. Scottish 4th. Meixer 5th. Spongy 6th. Dutchkey in 7th. Tintenfish in 8th. D in 9th. Zetu in 10th. Remember, D came all the way from 19th. That's 10 position gain. Zetu as well. 7 positions gained. That rounds out your point scoring finishers. Then we have the Steps, Charles Henry, F1 Dino, and Phantom, and Alley House for the finishing drivers. Then we have Curry, Sushi, Robert We Do, Watsy, and Onijimi not finishing the race. Those 5 cars are doing behind DNFing, but Shortbread getting the win. And that would be all for tonight. I want to thank you all so much for watching. My name is Olaf, aka Wops Racing. You can find me on robsracing.com, and I will hopefully see you all again next week. Goodbye.